my YouTube channel. My name is Darcy, and today I'm going to be talking about my anxiety journey. So there are many types of different anxieties out there. I am personally diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. So my anxiety is going to be super specific and different than many people's. And fair warning, when you listen to this, you're probably going to be like, what the heck? That is so weird. And trust me, it is weird for me too, and I don't even know why I have it, how I have it, and yeah. Let me take you back 5 years ago. Well, yeah, 5 years ago. I was always working out, and when I would work out, I'd be like, wow, I feel really lightheaded. But in my head, I knew, like, I've been drinking water, I've been eating food, like, there's no way I'm lightheaded. And I think this first stemmed from, I have IBS. And IBS and anxiety are linked. But I have IBS, and I was trying different medicines to help with my stomach pain. And I would read on the bottle of the side pill, it says, may cause dizziness, drowsiness, careful when taking. So then I think that got in my head when I was working out, like, oh crap, I feel dizzy. So then it progressively got worse and worse. Like, I would be 5 minutes into the workout and I would feel it. And then I would just get up quick and just call it a day and stop working out. And then one time I was at the gym working out and I felt super lightheaded. So I walked to the car and started driving, put my hands on the steering wheel, and all of a sudden my hands and my arms didn't feel like they were connected to me. Like I just felt like they were feathers, like floating in air. And then that freaked me out. So then I had my first ever panic attack. I don't know how, literally no idea how. I made it to my mom's work, driving. It's probably like 2 miles, but no idea how. I was bawling in the parking lot, telling her like, you need to call an ambulance. I'm having like, please call an ambulance. I'm like, Mommy, I can't do this. Like, oh, I was just hysterically crying. But her and then the officer that works there, they're good friends. She also has had panic attacks. So both of them knew what was happening. They knew I was just having a panic attack. Not just, because they're so scary. And they were just helping me calm down. Then I made it from my mom's work home, but I couldn't be alone. I was still crying hysterically. I didn't know what to do. I just felt like I was going to pass out all the time. I was seeing tunnel vision. I couldn't do it. I was just crying. And also, let me remind you, I've never passed out once in my life, so still to this day, never have. But literally couldn't function. I was sleeping in my mom's bed, crying, couldn't be alone. And then either the next day or 2 days after, I had my mom take me to the doctor. There, my heart rate's like over the roof. I'm still crying there. She can see that I literally can't function. So that is when I got prescribed clonazepam, which is a benzodiazepine, so it's a fast-acting, kind of like your Xanax type medicine. And then I also got prescribed sertraline, so that's going to be an everyday SSRI for depression, anxiety. Now I don't have depression, but we are using it to treat my anxiety. So I started off 50 milligrams of the sertraline, and then the clonazepam I could take twice daily as needed for onset of panic attacks. So the clonazepam is an addictive drug, so they don't recommend you take it like all the time. It's just not beneficial in the long run, right? But sertraline takes about 6 weeks to kick in. So I had to take the clonazepam while I waited for the sertraline to work. Well, taking the clonazepam, still so anxious. Still couldn't be alone. I always had tunnel vision. I couldn't do it. My hands were sweating from the clonazepam, crying at work. Luckily, my sister worked with me, so she would help me through it. But I just couldn't function still. Then I went to therapy. And I went to a therapy that's called brain spotting. So honestly, such a cool experience. If you're ever going through anything and don't like talk therapy where you like talk about it, you should try brain spotting. So the therapist has like this big wand thing, And you start your therapy session like, where do you feel most anxious? And you stare at this wand, and she'll go from like here to here. You'll find where it's most anxious. Then she'll go up or down, find where it's most anxious. And then where the two met, that's where she's gonna hold it for like 45 minutes. You have these glasses on, you just stare at the spot. Literally stare at it. While panoramic music's going on, you stare at the spot. And it just helps your brain like process things you never knew weren't processed before. So you could feel it in your neck, you could just feel everywhere. And random thoughts would come up about like why maybe I'm having this anxiety. And the people can see like when you're processing things, your eyes like twitch back and forth and like body movements twitch back and forth. And that's where I would think like, I think it was like built up where I would see people at my mom's race. My mom ran marathons, so I'd see people there pass out. My best friend, like a couple months earlier, asked me to go get blood with her because she couldn't do it without passing out. So I went, saw that, watched her seize, watched my little brother pass out. And I think just like seeing all those people scared me, and then all of a sudden it led me to a panic attack. And then once you have a panic attack, your brain body's kind of like wired to go into that panic mode like instantly. Not for everybody, but sometimes like right when you feel a little stressor, it'll just think it's going into that panic attack mode, even when it doesn't have to. And that's what would happen with me. So I think it took me like 3 months to finally be able to do my everyday tasks. I couldn't even drive. I, a lot of times, would have to have somebody drive me to school. The shifting of clouds, like if the sun was out and then a cloud covered it, and then I was in shade, in my head I'd be like, am I passing out? Like, why is it getting dark? When in reality, it's just the sun, like, getting covered by the clouds. And gyms do it to me. Grocery stores a lot. It's just really weird. Oh, and I think when I was in cheer one time, I almost passed out. And that scarred me ever since then. Like 8th grade, I'd be scared. So, 3 years goes by. I never had a panic attack. My anxiety was under control. I wasn't really having it anymore. Now I still have the thoughts every day. That's never gone away. On average, at least 30 times a day, my mind thinks, am I gonna pass out? Did I drink enough water? Am I nutrientized enough? Did I have enough to eat? Like, my head just thinks that every time in the shower, when I'm working out. Oh, and my favorite thing to do is the gym. I didn't go to the gym for a year after my anxiety. So 3 years goes by, no panic attacks. I'm doing fine. I didn't want to get off my anxiety medicine because I just felt fine on it and don't mess things up that are going well. Then this past year, I had a really bad IBS flare. Like, I was bleeding out of my intestines. And that caused me to go into a panic attack again. And I hadn't had one in 3 years. I had a panic attack, went to the ER for my stomach because it was like bleeding a lot, not because of my anxiety medicine, but I went 3 years without taking my clonazepam, the benzodiazepine. 3 years. And then all of a sudden, my anxiety is back again because I had that panic attack. Then for about 3 weeks, I wasn't functioning again. Couldn't be alone. I didn't know what to do because I went to therapy. I have my master's in social work, in clinical social work, mental health. I know what it is I'm dealing with. I know how to help it. And I just couldn't. I felt so helpless. I'd reach out to people I literally haven't talked to in years because I knew they would have anxiety or that they're a nurse to help me. I couldn't do it. I got more anxiety books and I upped my dose of sertraline. So now I'm on 100 milligrams instead of 50, which is the everyday medicine. It's not really where I want to be. I don't want to be taking that high of a dose, if I'm being honest, but I think I still need to because it's a constant struggle every day. And I also got off birth control thinking maybe that would help my anxiety. It hasn't. I think it's gotten worse the week leading up to my period. Don't know. But yeah, that's my anxiety story. It's been like 5 years. Oh, thought of another thing. I always only got anxiety over the fear of passing out. Always over that. This past time when I had the IBS flare up, I started to get anxiety over everything now. I couldn't pray because praying reminded me of death, and suddenly I have anxiety over death now, which I never used to have. So I feel like I'm also adding more things to my anxiousness list. And I don't even know why, because I know I'm going to heaven. I know God works everything for my good, so I don't know why I'm getting scared of these things now. We're still at 100 milligrams of sertraline. I want to lower it, but don't think it's the time to yet. So that is my anxiety, way different than a lot of people's. It's also called like depersonalization. A lot of people kind of have it. It's like where you don't feel associated in your body, you just feel like you're floating. It's weird. I don't get anxiety over like, oh, I have so much to do tomorrow, I'm really anxious, or I'm so scared to speak in front of this crowd. I don't have that. Mine is just over the fear of passing out strictly. And something I also want to say is that a lot of times people will be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a panic attack. But they don't honestly know what a panic attack even is. Like, I felt like I was dying. You feel like you're getting choked. Your heart is beating really fast. And it's just not a good time. So that is my anxiety story. If you have any questions about it or want to learn more, I think I said majority of it. Basically, I just have a fear of passing out and had panic attacks over it, where I felt like dying. But we're alive, we're living another day, and I'm able to film and talk about it, where before I wasn't even able to talk about my anxiety. Otherwise, it sets off my anxiety, which it still kind of does, because I can watch, like on TikTok, like 2 weeks ago, I watched somebody pass out, and I had a really bad anxiety for the next 2 days. So people all around me know not to talk about it because it sets me off and gets me worried. So I think that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening if you've listened this long. And I hope you learned something new.